Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya yato anvayadi taratascha artheshu abhigyaswarat Tene Brahmahridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsuraya Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna swena sada nirastakohakam satyam param dhimahi Nigamakalpataror galitam palam shukamukad amrita drava sanyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. We now enter the 25th chapter of the 10th Skandha of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the one of the most beautiful chapters of the Govardhan Leela. So we saw in the last chapter that the traditional worship for Indra by Nanda and the Gopas was stopped by Krishna. And Krishna said, let's just offer this worship to the cows on Govardhan mountain because that's what sustains our livelihood. And therefore everybody offered that worship and they were all very happy singing, going around Govardhan mountain and then eating an opulent feast and so on. So now Shuka Brahma Rishi continues, coming to know of this fact that his worship has been stopped, Indra became extremely angry, just as expected, because as we saw, Krishna knew this very well. In fact, the one of the purpose of his pastime is to curb the pride of Indra, and therefore Indra is now showing his anger because of his pride. So pride goes before fall. So first his pride is becoming anger. So Indra then mobilizes clouds. So as we saw, Nanda also tell that Indra controls rain. So Indra summons the most uh, destructive clouds. It's called as Samvartaka. Samvartaka is the set of clouds that are sent during the dissolution. So during the dissolution of the universe, it is said that there is rains that are sent that causes a deluge and the whole of earth is submerged in water and then everything is finished off, and that cloud which sends so much water called Samvartaka, he summons that in order to get back, in order to avenge the disrespect he feels. And he says, oh, look at these cowherds, they are living in this village, they have so much wealth, and because of that they are so proud. So it shows that the cowherds of Vrindavan, they had so much wealth because they had cows, and as we saw, all the cows are very healthy, they are grazing the mountains of Govardhan, they are all very naturally grass fed, they produce a lot of milk, a lot of dairy products come out of them, and they then sell them, and therefore they have a lot of wealth. So Indra says these cowherds, they have so much wealth dwelling in the forest, and because of that they have despised me. I am this great divine being. So he is so full of pride, he speaks about himself. He says, I am this great divine being and they have ignored me, and they have after all considered this Krishna, who is a mere mortal, as their supreme being. So he is now digging his own curbing of pride through all this talk. So he says, now people who depend on anyone other than me. So this is a very arrogant statement he makes. He says, people who are dependent on anyone other than me is similar to those who depend on rituals instead of self-inquiry. So the example given here also is very interesting. Part of it is very right, that if one depends only on rituals and not engages in true self-realization, one cannot realize the truth. Rituals cannot save one. But Indra uses that example wrongly. In fact, the other way around, it ought to be that to worship Indra is like doing rituals, and to surrender to Krishna is to truly inquire into the Supreme Self. But he, out of arrogance, says the opposite. He says these people, just as those who blindly perform rituals, they are blindly depending on Krishna. And he says this Krishna is simply a talkative, boyish, arrogant, and ignorant mortal who considers himself to be a great scholar. So, on the face of it, it's a very abusive verse. So, he says, Vachalam balisham stabdham agyam pandita maninam krishnam martyam upashritya gopa me chakrur apriyam. He says, this Krishna is Vachalam. he is talkative. Balisham, he is boyish. Stabdham, arrogant. Agyam, he is ignorant. Pandita Maninam, who considers himself to be wise. Krishnam, he is Krishna. Martyam, he is a simple mortal. And simply in depending upon such a Krishna, these gopas, these cowherds have ignored me. But the beauty of this verse is that one of the commentators, great commentator called Sridhara Swami, he says that every single adjective Indra uses, it turns out also to be a glorification of Krishna because of the beauty of Sanskrit. So Vachalam, which is one way to say talkative, also means one who has perfect control over his tongue. Balisham, which means boyish, also on the other hand means one who is very innocent and pure. Stabdham means arrogant, which also on the other hand means one to whom everyone else bows down, but he has no one to bow down to. Agyam means ignorant, but the other way to read that word is one who cannot be known. Pandita Maninam means one who considers himself wise, but the other way to read that word is one whom the wise consider as the greatest. Krishnam means the name, but also it means all attractive. Martyam means mortal, but it also means one who has descended in the human form out of his compassion. So, every adjective that is meant as an abuse is also a glorification. That is both the beauty of Sanskrit language as well as the way Mother Saraswati plays in the tongue of Indra. It is said that Indra, even when he wants to abuse Krishna, he ends up using adjectives which are also indirectly praising him. So, in this way, he says, how dare these gopas are ignoring me and showing their love to Krishna, but by saying so, he actually glorified Krishna. So now he orders the clouds. He says, "Oh, clouds, you go and you just pour down your rain." These gopas, these cowherds have become so arrogant because of their affluence. They have been puffed up with pride, and therefore you go there. I'll also come riding my elephant Airavata, and I will ensure that there is tremendous destruction that causes annihilation of Vraja. He says, Ahamcha Airavatam Nagam Aruhya Anubraje Vrajam. I'll also come to Vraja, but you first go and pour these rains. So accordingly, as commanded by Indra, these clouds, they send forth tremendous rain. Such showers are sent out with great violence. There is lightning, there is thunder, there is winds like tempest, there is hailstones. The clouds are pouring forth torrents of rains, and the earth is getting flooded with water. The distinction between highland and lowland is all vanishing. Everything is flooded with water. So at this time, it is said that everybody is shivering because of the excessive rain and the cold. And so all the cowherds and the cowherd women, they all approach Krishna, and they are being oppressed with this torrential downpour, and they, of course, their only refuge is Krishna. So they go to Krishna and say, Krishna Krishna Mahabhaga Tvannatham Gokulam Prabho Tratumarhasi Devanna Kupidat Bhakta Vatsala. They beautifully say, O Krishna, O great beloved Krishna, Bhakta Vatsala, one who is dear to his devotees, you have to protect us because the Devatas, Indra, seems to be angry with us, and therefore he's sending forth this torrential downpour. You have to be angry, you have to protect us from his anger. So Krishna, of course, smiles and says, not to worry. He first realizes, of course, that this is all because of Indra becoming angry due to his pride. His worship has been stopped by us, and because of that, he's sending forth this terrible hailstorm and tempestuous gale, wind, thunder, lightning, everything he is sending in order to get back. So let me protect these cowherd men and women and also dispel the ignorance of Indra so that he can be situated in the right manner. So Krishna first uses his Yoga Maya to ensure that even though so much rain is pouring, as said, like the deluge, the end of time itself, the end of the world, the end of the cycle, that much rain is being sent. But Krishna, by his Yoga Maya, ensures that the rain doesn't cross a certain level, the amount of water. So the water starts flooding Vraja. But of course, given the amount of water that is sent down due to this deluge, normally a place like Vraja would be completely flooded and finished. But because of Krishna's Yoga Maya, the water rises to a particular level and just stops there and doesn't increase beyond that. Meanwhile, as we saw, Krishna has resolved to destroy the pride of Indra, and he also tells himself that this pride is no good for these devatas, because devatas are supposed to be situated in goodness. So that is in fact what differentiates devatas from the rakshasas, or the demigods, from the demons. The demons are in the mode of passion and ignorance, but the divine beings who control all these forces of nature are supposed to be in the mode of goodness and acting in harmony. But if they are out of harmony, then Krishna says they have to be brought back to the mode of goodness, and that happens only through humiliation sometimes. So, this is why many times when pride goes excessive and there is a knock, that knock is the greatest blessing. So, Indra is going to be knocked now by Krishna, and this happens in everyone's life when one gets too arrogant with power or wealth or pride and gets a knock from the divine, then that seems like a great obstacle, but in fact, it's a great blessing. Krishna says later in the same Skandha that one who I want to bestow my grace, I first take away their wealth and their power. So, here also Krishna does the same for Indra now in order to help him. So, here we see again how many things are done at the same time. Indra is protected by being freed of his pride. The cowherd men and women are protected. Govardhan mountain is glorified, and there is a beautiful pastime that is celebrated for thousands of years. All of this accomplished in one act. So Krishna, resolving to therefore do all of this in one act, just goes there, and instantly it is said he picks Govardhan with his left hand, simply like a child would pull out a mushroom. So Govardhan is a huge mountain, and Krishna is just a young boy, but he simply picks that mountain with his left hand. In fact, he balances it on his just left hand, little finger, the entire Govardhan mountain. And then he says to all the cowherds, O mother, O father, O all people of Vraja, come and take shelter in this place beneath this mountain. He says, Ataha Bhagavan Gopan He Amba Tata Vrajaukasaha Yato Pajosham Vishata Girir Gatam Sagodanaha. Sagodana means along with the wealth of cattle, you all come here. So first he lifted it very effortlessly. It says, Hastena Krutva Govardhana Achalam Dadhara Leelaya Krishna Chatrakamiva Balakaha. Just as a child would pick up a mushroom, Govardhana Achalam means the mountain Govardhan. Krishna picks it up effortlessly. So this again shows the Yoga Maya that such a huge mountain is picked up by Krishna. Another important point to also note is even though the mountain is big, we already saw that Vraja, the land of Vrindavan, is very prosperous. They have so many cattle, and then there are so many people there, and there is so much wealth they have. So all of this cannot be protected by the normal size of Govardhan. So it is also said that because of Yogamaya, not only did Krishna pick Govardhan up as an umbrella, the mountain Govardhan, but the Govardhan mountain was also expanded. It became so huge, and therefore, because of the increase in the size of Govardhan, it became enough to protect all of them, to afford shelter to all of them. So Krishna says, no need to be afraid of anything, no fear need to be entertained. Everything is taken care. You simply have to come underneath Govardhan and take shelter. Thereby, Govardhan is glorified. So now that Krishna has given this assurance, everybody happily enters that space beneath Govardhan. And Krishna says, this is the beautiful pose that is celebrated where Krishna is standing with his legs crossed, one leg over another, and his little finger of the left hand holding up the whole Govardhan mountain, and all the cowherd men and women, boys and girls, the cattle, all of them are resting very happily. And it is said that everyone, along with their cattle wealth, their bullock carts, their dependents, their servants, all their animals, everyone had taken shelter under this now huge Govardhan mountain. And Indra, it is said, he comes and he not only has sent down these rains, but he's also hurling thunderbolts and all the rest at the mountain. But because of Krishna's Yogamaya, this Govardhan mountain has become so huge, and therefore nothing is affecting Govardhan. And all the men, they are all looking at Krishna. So this happens for a whole week. So Indra is sending forth such torrential rain and also hurling thunderbolts and doing whatever he can within his power to break Govardhan mountain and to cause a deluge in Vrindavan. But Krishna simply stands there and he holds it on his little finger for a whole week. And because of the Yoga Maya, as we said, none of the thunderbolts can affect the mountain. All the water gets dried to the extent that it's necessary so that there is no flooding beyond a certain point. All the residents of Vrindavan are safely ensconced underneath the Govardhan mountain. And not only that, for the whole week they forget their hunger, they forget their thirst, and they are simply so happy to be in such close proximity with Krishna, looking at him holding up the mountain for the whole week. And so, in this way, this most wonderful Leela of Krishna holding up this mountain happens. And seeing this, everybody is astonished. And not only that, Indra himself finally recognizes after a whole week that he cannot do anything. He gives up. He is totally flabbergasted. He is completely uh, shorn of all his pride. He is not able to do anything more. He has tried every single weapon he has in his hand. Nothing has been able to break the situation. Govardhan is standing steady, and Krishna is holding it steady under and standing under Govardhan. On all the residents are steady. Nobody is even wet, let alone getting drowned. And therefore, everything is beautifully maintained by Krishna. So finally, after a week, Indra stops. He orders all the clouds also to stop because he recognizes that this is no ordinary boy. And once this happens, the sky is clear, the sun is coming out, the downpour has stopped, the winds have stopped, and Krishna then, as the bearer of Govardhan, now he is called Govardhandari. So we saw how after the pastime with Yashoda tying him with the rope, from then on he is called Damodar. Similarly, after this pastime, he is called as Govardhandari or Giridhari. All these names come to Krishna because of this pastime. And therefore, as Govardhan Dhari, Krishna tells all the cowherds, now you can all go out with all your women and wealth and children and animals because the rain is over, the storm is over, the water is going to dry up, and therefore you can all go freely. So it says here, Kham Vyabrum Udita Adityam Vatavarsham Cha Darunam Nishamyoparatam Gopan Govardhana Daro Abravit. So Kham Vyabrum means the skies are clear. Udita Adityam, sun has come out. Vata Varsham Cha Darunam, the rains and the winds have all stopped. And therefore, Govardhana Dhari, Krishna, tells them that you can all go now freely without worrying about anything. And therefore, the cowherds also, listening to Krishna, they took their cattle wealth, their women, their children, their aged people, their elderly parents, old people, everyone, and they all issued forth, everyone loaded up on their bullock carts, and they all started going. And the Lord also, Krishna, set down the mountain exactly where it was, and everybody looked on with wonder. It says, Bhagavan api tam shailam swasthane purvavat prabhu pashyatam sarvabhutanam sthapayamasa leelaya. Just as he picked it up like a sport, he again placed it back like a sport. Sthapayamasa leelaya. Bhagavan api tam shailam, that mountain, swasthane purvavat prabhu. So just as he found it there, exactly where it was in the same shape now, same size now, he placed it back just like a sport. So seeing this Leela, everybody was overflowing with an uprush of love. It is said they were completely flooded with love. So all of them approached him, embraced him. The young girls of Gopi were so happy to see this great pastime of Krishna, and therefore they played with him by sprinkling milk on him and curds on him and so on. The elders like Yashoda and Rohini and Nanda and Balaram, they hugged Krishna and they pronounced their blessings on him. It says here, Yashoda, Rohini, Nando, Ramascha, Balinambarah, Krishnam Alingya Yuyujur Ashisha Sneha Kataraha. Alingya means they hugged Krishna, and then they offered their blessings because they are elders. So everyone behaved according to their position. The elders, starting with Balaram, who is the elder brother, and the parents, Yashoda and Nanda and Rohini, they all hugged and embraced and blessed him. The peers hugged him and played with him. The younger ones came and took his blessings from him, and therefore everybody was happy. And it is said that the skies were celebrating, all the devatas such as Charanas and Gandharvas and Siddhas, they were all celebrating. Whole of Vraja was celebrating, and thus, surrounded by all the loving cowherds and accompanied by Balaram, Krishna went back to Vrindavan after placing Govardhan right there in the place, and all the cowherd women, they were also happy hearing the exploits of Krishna. So with this chapter ends chapter 25. We now enter chapter 26, which is a short chapter where all the Gopas now, after coming back, they are all in great wonder because now they are realizing, all the cowherd men, Krishna has gone out to play as always, and all the cowherd men, they approach Nanda and they say, what is going on? We are, because every time something happens, they have always wondered about it, but they somehow forgot. Now this is too much because it happened for a whole week, Krishna holding up the mountain, so they cannot forget this at all. So therefore, much astonished to see all the superhuman feats, they go to Nanda and they say, oh Nanda, this boy is so wonderful. How is he even born among us, first of all? See, because we are illiterate, we are just rearing people, cowherds, and how is it that such a great boy is born among us? He has been holding up this mountain for a week, which is unthinkable. It's as if an elephant is holding up a lotus. He's holding up this huge mountain. And not only this, we have seen everything. So they recount all that has happened thus far in this Skandha. They say he, as a young baby, a few days old, he was able to suck the breast of Putana and suck the life out of her and take her life as time itself takes away lifespan. Then when he was just a couple of months old, there was a cart which had this demon. We saw the Shakatasura, and he just kicked that cart and the cart fell down and the demon was relieved from there. Then we saw Trinavrita, who came as a tempest, as a whirlwind, like a tornado, and he picked Krishna away and took him into the sky. But Krishna choked his neck and thereby killed him and liberated him. Then we saw Krishna being tied by a rope by Yashoda, and he simply crawled between two trees, brought those two huge trees down. Then Krishna killed so many asuras. He killed Bakasura by tearing apart his beaks. He killed Vatsasura, the calf, by hurling this calf demon onto the trees and making the trees tremble and put all the fruits down. He killed Dhenukasura, the one who came in the guise of a donkey along with Balaram. And he killed Pralamba, rather, he was with Balaram and he ensured Balaram killed Pralamba, who came in the guise of a cowherd boy. He subdued the most venomous Kaliya, the snake. We saw that beautiful pastime where Krishna danced on top of the snake and subdued it. So how come he is doing all of this? And now, of course, he is lifting this whole mountain for a whole week. What is this? Please tell us, who is this boy? Is he the Supreme Being himself? Finally, they are asking this question. And Nanda replies very calmly. He says, I will tell you what Garga told me. So if you remember in the 8th chapter, Garga Muni came for the naming ceremony and he hinted about Krishna without revealing exactly, but also hinting that he is Narayana himself. So those exact verses that Garga told Nanda at that time, now Nanda tells all the cowherd men. He says, I reveal you a secret. This is told by Garga secretly when the name was given, when Krishna was a young boy, young baby in fact. So he said that this baby has been born in every era, every yuga, taking different colors. And now he has taken this dark complexion. He is Krishna, therefore, and he was born of Vasudeva, and therefore he is known as Vasudeva. This verse again came in the 8th chapter. It's repeated here. Pragayam Vasudevasya Kvachit Jatastva Atmajaha Vasudeva iti Sriman Abhignya Samprachakshate. So he is known as Vasudeva because he is son of Vasudeva, but Vasudeva also means the Supreme Being who abides everywhere. So Nanda says he is called as Vasudeva, and Garga told me that he has taken many names, many forms, and he is capable of taking many names and many forms effortlessly, and he has got so many excellences, and he'll be the delight of all the cowherds. He'll bring happiness to everyone. He will protect everyone, and nobody can overpower the ones who are surrendered unto him. And therefore, Garga told me that he is Narayana like. He says the words that Garga used, he is repeating here, Tasmat Nanda Kumaroyam Narayana Samogunaihi. That's what Garga said, that he is like Narayana, but it can also be read as he is Narayana, because the word Sama, one way is like, the other way is he is exactly that. So Garga used that very interesting word to not tell exactly but hint that he is Narayana himself. And therefore, that exact verse Nanda repeats to all the cowherd men and says, Garga told me all this, that this is Vasudeva, son of Vasudeva. This is a boy who has been born in every yuga. He is capable of taking different names, different forms. He is capable of doing the most excellent actions. It says here, Guna Karmanu Rupani Tanyaham Veda No Janaha. And Garga told me that he knows all the actions he has done and he will do, being the Rishi that he is. Ordinary people cannot figure it out, but he also assured us that all the cowherds will be protected every time there is any calamity. The ones who are surrendered unto him are always protected, and he is like Narayana. So, this is what I heard from the great sage Garga, and therefore Garga told me and left. And since then, I have also recognized that he ought to be a manifestation of Narayana. So Nanda reveals the secret to all the other cowherd men, and hearing this statement, everybody is so happy. And now Krishna by this time comes back from his play, and so they are all so glad, rejoiced to see Krishna, and therefore they worship Krishna, they adore him, and they offer a beautiful prayer saying that, O Lord Krishna, the one who subdued the pride of Indra, when Indra tried to send down heavy showers with lightning, hailstorms, and tempestuous winds, the one who lifted up Govardhan effortlessly with one finger and thereby protected all of Vraja, I offer my obeisance to you. May your grace be always upon us. So in this way, finally the cowherd men at this moment offer a prayer to Krishna. After listening to Nanda narrate what Garga told him and recognizing that he is like Narayana, if not Narayana himself, which is not revealed by Garga fully but only hinted. So, in this way, Nanda reveals to all the cowherds to what he heard from Garga, that this is a manifestation of Narayana who has descended out of compassion as Krishna, and therefore he is indeed no ordinary boy. And with this realization, all the cowherds are now even more rejoiced and ecstatic, because they asked Nanda one question. Along with recounting all his great pastimes, they told him, one interesting thing we see is that we also have this excessive love for him. This is not the ordinary love that we even have for our own children. We find that there is an attraction to Krishna which is unworldly, transcendental, and we are drawn to him like magnets. And therefore, we are, again, that is another reason, not just all his superhuman feats, but the greatest miracle is love, more than all the superhuman feats. And that love, that miracle of love, is found effortlessly in Vrindavan among all the cowherd men and women, boys and girls, as we have seen in episode after episode. So they are expressing that wonder to Nanda and asking, therefore, not just all these superhuman feats, but because of this love, the miracle of love, we wonder if this is not an ordinary boy at all. Please tell us. And that's when Nanda tells about what Garga told him, the great sage Garga, and thereby everybody is now rejoiced to know that this is a manifestation of Narayana, and they offer their worship to Krishna. And with this small but very beautiful chapter ends. And now we will see how Indra, having been curbed of his pride, glorifies Krishna in the next chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.